Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, employee screams at guy who turns out to be the CEO of the company, gets fired. My entitled mother-in-law is trying to make our dogs fight. Ex-friends. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Employee screams at guy who turns out to be the CEO of the company, gets fired. This is actually a story from my mom from a couple of years ago. She works for an energy company in the customer service, taking phone calls, answering questions, and sometimes helping fix simple issues. It had started not too long ago and she was one of the few first employees, so right from the start she knew pretty much everyone who worked there, including the CEO, who she describes as a very nice, down-to-earth guy who'd always dress pretty casually so he'd blend in with everyone else pretty easily. After a couple of months they started hiring more people to work, including this one guy who was apparently very entitled and considered himself better than everyone. Mom and a few others didn't like him because he was apparently arrogant, always tried to correct others only to be wrong himself, kept making the same mistakes, ignored many rules on the floor, and had a huge temper and would scream and curse at anyone who said something he didn't like. The screaming would 99.9% of the time be something along the likes of, "Who do you think you are to?" Insert whatever someone did or said. Many complained about him, but the manager at the time was too nice or scared or both to actually do something about him. One day he was apparently playing games on his phone who at the same time talking to a customer and telling all kinds of random wrong things when the CEO came to check the floor after a meeting. Seeing this guy, he walked up to him and calmly informed him he wasn't allowed to have his phone out while helping a customer so he could completely focus on said customer for the moment. Cue the guy literally throwing his headset off, jumping to his feet and scream in his face, "And who do you think you are to tell me how to my job?" along with stomping his foot at each syllable. The boss stood there for a moment, obviously in shock, and the guy, thinking he'd won, smirked all smug before the boss pulled a WEL, boss move. "Well, I just so happen to be the CEO of this company," he's screaming back, even copying the foot stomping. The dumb guy lost the smirk and, according to my mom, went from angry bright red to pure white in half a second. The boss calmly grabbed the headset, which apparently still had the customer, who held everything, and apologized for what she heard and just asked her what she needed help with, finished in a minute, and before hanging up once again apologized and told her the other guy was fired so it wouldn't happen again. As soon as he hung up, he just to the other guys he was serious and he'd better gather his stuff. At the end, the annoying employee was gone, the manager got a talk on dealing with bad employees, and someone baked the boss a cake. I like the mental image of the CEO going from shock to immediately getting on the screamer's level. Clearly CEO has had to deal with literal toddlers. This is exactly how you stop tantrums. I love how it also works on adult toddlers. Priceless. This is what everyone who's ever had to deal with an unpleasant coworker has dreamed of witnessing. My entitled mother-in-law is trying to make our dogs fight. My girlfriend and I moved in with her parents after closing the lease on an apartment we left due to a dangerous roommate and unsafe conditions. Ever since we've moved in, she's been doing everything she can to make my life hell, but that's another story. This is something I got revenge doing. I have a 6.5-month-old boxer puppy I'll call Phoebe. My mother-in-law has a lab, a healer, and a pug mix. The problem is the lab. I'll call her Lily. Lily has attacked the healer, pug mix, who is playing and has one eye, and both cats in the house. She attacks over food and toys, or if they get on a couch she decides she wants on. It's horrible and she's hurt them pretty bad. I do not let my puppy out to play with her without me there. However, my mother-in-law has taken to coming and getting her out of her crate and letting her out to play with Lily no matter what my girlfriend and I tell her. "If you don't let her out, I'll just come get her after you leave." "No, she's gonna come out." "I don't care if you're sleeping, I want her." "Well, I like her so she's coming out." I don't care what you want. Lily is harmless. You don't know anything about dogs anyway. She's obviously trying to take my dog, and takes any chance to allude that I'm abusing her and can't handle her. She stole the healer and lab from my brother-in-law and his girlfriend by using the same behavior. I work night shift in healthcare. She comes in right after I fall asleep in the evening before work and takes Phoebe. If I lock the door, she bangs on it until I get up, or spam calls my girlfriend and I cue the revenge. I'm working on training Phoebe to not bark and cry in her crate. In order to be let out to eat, she has to lay down quietly and wait a few minutes upon command in her crate. Recently, I started knocking on the door before I open it with food, and she is let out without her cue. Then, I went out into the hall and came back in without the special knock, just 2 taps, and made her wait. Soon, she didn't need to be told the cue. So, my mother-in-law couldn't get this dog out of the crate when she broke into my room after I left. She didn't know to knock, so Phoebe clung to the kennel and refused to let up, knowing that if she left before being told she could, she wouldn't get a treat at all. And if there's any breed that holds a grudge for treats, it's boxers. I get home, don't even make it through the door before she demands I let the dog out. I know by the look on her face that my plan worked and Phoebe didn't leave the kennel. That means she definitely needs to go outside. So I go to the door, knock, enter, and open the crate. She shoots out like a bullet and hurtles outside. Mother-in-law stops her, picking her up and swinging her away from me. Before she can say anything, or accuse me of anything, Phoebe decides to let her bladder loose. All 35 pounds of puppy, a full bladder, and the most smug face a dog can make. Mother-in-law hasn't touched her since, and I'm pretty sure she threw away her urine-soaked clothes. Update: while I was eating dinner, Lily bit Phoebe over the literal smell of food. Mother-in-law said nothing as I rushed my pup to the bathroom. She's fine, just has a torn-up lip. She's in good spirits. I'll be buying a lock for the kennel and chain to keep the key on my neck. MIL got herself a huge fafo, way to go. What a good girl. I hope you have her some pig ears as cookies. No, pig's ears are bad. Especially if not made in USA. Like rawhide if made in other countries, often use formaldehyde. That's good revenge, but your brother-in-law should have called animal abuse on her and so should you. She is causing harm to the other animals with her carelessness about Lily. Well done, Phoebe. Dogs are excellent judges of character. Ex-friends. About 10 years ago I broke my ankle in a pothole helping my then BFF move out of our apartment. 3 months after the break, doctors discovered I had a bone infection, osteomyelitis, and would possibly need my leg amputated. At the hospital for the infection, I was scared and really needed my friends. I asked my childhood girlfriends to please visit me as I was going into surgery every other day and was terrified I'd wake up from surgery without my leg. I had been in the hospital for over a week and only a few college friends, the true heroes, came to visit, without me having to ask. All my childhood friends planned to visit together. When that day came, one by one I received texts from each of them bailing because they didn't feel well. They all went out partying the night before, got too drunk, and were too hungover to visit me. You see, the reason my BFF moved out was because she and the others prioritized partying, doing drugs, banging random dudes, and were just overall selfish humans. I had moved on from the partying lifestyle, and whenever I suggested we do other activities they'd say no. Besides that, my BFF was a terrible roommate, paid rent late, let my cat out of the apartment, was a slob, etc., so my relationship with her, and the others, had become rocky. I had talked with them before my ankle break about how sad I was with our relationship and they all said they'd try harder. Then came my injury, and they all bailed on me. I immediately cut ties with them. They begged me to forgive them. Our mutual friends, lived out of state, begged me to forgive them. You've been friends since preschool. Can't you let it go? No. This was the last straw. For years I'd see them at mutual friends' weddings, high school reunions, etc., and just remained pleasant. My favorite thing to do is be withholding when they try asking how I am, give me compliments, and I don't reciprocate. You can see the desperation in their eyes that they want me to love them again. Even one of the girls' mothers admitted to me how stupid their daughter treated me. Such validation. Now, some of our mutual friends are finally realizing how toxic these women are and are cutting ties too. I just smile and go, I won't say I told you so, but I told you so. Just because you've known someone since you were children, does not mean you need them in your life as an adult. Keep the ones that show up in the worst times. Quality over quantity. Wow, something somewhat similar happened to me about 15 years ago when I injured my back. I was in pain 24/7 and had very limited mobility for about a year, and only a handful of friends actually visited me and cared about how I was doing. Once I had surgery and was medically discharged, then all the other friends that didn't even text to see how I was, were oh so happy to see me. OMG, I missed you so much, tell me everything, etc., etc. And my response was, hey, pretend I'm still in the hospital and you still don't care about it. It's wild how an injury can show you who will be there for you. I don't miss them at all. Hope your back is doing better from the injury and from carrying and tossing the load of thoughtless humans, winky face. Mom was in a car accident and spent 6 months in hospital. After 4 months, she was allowed to come home on the weekends. I was 11 at the time and remember thinking, where the hell were all her friends? I was amazed at the people who bailed. I also recall one of my parents' newest friends who came over every weekend to talk to her, help my dad, and just be there. When people show you who they are, believe them. Yes, it shows you who your friends are. I injured my leg and spent some time in hospital, a week after being made redundant. Only one of my many colleagues bothered to ring and ask me how I was, out of a dozen people I'd worked with for 20 years. Later, one colleague passed away unexpectedly from cancer. Not one of them rang to tell me. I only found out several months later by accident. I was devastated that I couldn't pay my respects. She was one of the better ones. Yeah, my mom found out who her real friends were after she got cancer. So many people just disappeared from her life, and I recall how badly that hurt her. I had a health scare of my own a few years back, and an interesting thing happened there as well. One friend left my life, but someone else I'd considered a casual friend told me she'd be there for me no matter what. That friend is now one of my ride or die friends. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.